section to this and how to do it and do it phenomenally well. And some of you may feel challenged here because you may feel, well, I don't have great communication skills. I kind of mumble when I talk. I bumble through things. I move from a thought here to a thought there. I don't give a good, straightforward, coherent explanation of things. If you're realistic about yourself, you're going to come up with some reasons why you are not a good negotiator. And you're also going to come up with some great reasons why you could be or are a great negotiator. And once you've identified those strengths and those weaknesses, you're going to be able to go through this section. And you're going to learn what it is that you can do in this process of negotiation and what it is you can't do. And the good news about Bizar Financing is we'll help you at every level. Meaning we'll help train you in negotiating techniques and methods so that you can strengthen up any part of it that you need to so that you are the good negotiator. We'll come in and help you over a particular hurdle when you need somebody to negotiate a specific part of it. We'll help you do it. And in the case of this company that we're purchasing that I gave you the illustration of in the last webinar session, there the folks who were putting it together decided that they weren't good enough to negotiate it at all, and they had me do the whole thing for them. So we do that too. It's better if you can do it yourself. My preference is to train you to fish, so you never, ever, ever have a lack of fish to eat. But if it means that sometimes we have to step in and hand you fish, we'll do it. If it gets you over that hump, we'll do that. We're here to really support you in that. So to be that good negotiator, and to get over this negotiating the purchase as being a stopping to you got to have self-confidence. You got to have the confidence that you're going to be able to sit in front of that seller, sit in front of that lender, sit in front of whoever, and be able to carry yourself off in a way that commands respect and that handles the issues that come up and does it in a professional way. You feel that good about yourself, you're going to do it. The way you feel that good about yourself is two things. One, studying those materials that are in here. And two is practice. Do not expect yourself to be a whiz-bang first time out the door. I've watched people go through this part many, many times. And the first time they get out there, they screw it up royally. But they learned. They learned what not to say. They went back to the studying of that section. They went back to reviewing the audios and the videos. And they said, oh, now I see why I screwed that up. Now I can fix that. I can do that differently. And third or fourth time out, they're pros. Okay? Because you learn really, really quickly when you're on the firing line. But that takes courage. It takes courage to get out there when you're not fully self-confident. So one way to minimize that is to do some practicing. Okay? And by practicing, I don't mean practicing even with the seller. Practicing with an associate, practicing with a spouse, practicing with a friend, role play. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can get yourself psychologically past the fear. And fear is the biggest stopper here. So preparing yourself, preparing your setting, understanding what happens in a setting, why the advantage goes to certain people depending on the setting that the negotiation takes place in, how to take control of that setting, so that it happens the way you want it to happen instead of the way somebody else wants it to happen, so that when you go into that setting, you feel strong. And I'll give you one simple example. And if you go with me on this, you're going to feel this. See, courage is not intellectual. Courage is emotional. And you got to feel it. Picture yourself sitting in a table with 3 other people. It's a round table, and there are 4 of you sitting around the round table. You're sitting in a seat that's in the corner, and the wall comes to a V behind you. Everyone else at the table is sitting in a seat that has no back to it. It's just empty room. Feel yourself sitting in the seat in the corner with the corner compressing your energy behind you. and removing any feeling of vulnerability because there is a solid wall behind you. Feel what it's like to sit there and talk to the three other people who have open vulnerability behind them, who have nothing condensing the energy behind them. And you can feel, if you're into what I'm saying to you right now, you can feel the difference in sitting in that seat at that meeting and the command that you have over everyone's attention versus being in one of the three seats with its back open to the room. Put yourself in one of those other three seats, talking to the person sitting in the chair with the corner behind them. You can feel the difference. You can feel the difference in the confidence level you would have depending on which of those seats you're sitting in. Bizar Financing is the only business program I know of its type that goes into the whole psychology of business buying, buyers, sellers, finance people, so that we truly understand them. We understand the mechanics. We understand what's going to happen. We can position ourselves so that everything is to our advantage. Now, I'm going to go from the H section just very quickly back to the A section. And A3, the psychology of business success, the 4 personality types, and how to influence them. This model is so important in the negotiating process, I cannot possibly stress it enough. Every single seller that I talk with, every single lender that I talk with, investor that I talk with, the very first thing I do is I assess which of the 4 personality styles they are. Are they a controller? Are they a supporter? Are they an analyst? Or are they a promoter? And once I've determined that, which takes less than 3 minutes to know for sure, I mean, really know for sure which is their primary style, I now know how to communicate with them to minimize their resistance and maximize their cooperation. And it's all here in section A3. It's totally replicatable by you. With that methodology behind you, with that understanding behind you, the world takes on a different complexion. If I have a controller, I know I can't sell them on my deal. I have to cut off the means of escape and leave them to find and conclude what's the right direction to go and how to get it done. I just lead them there, knowing that if I try and tell them to go there, I'll kill my deal. When I'm dealing with a promoter, I know how to talk to them about all of the status, all of the recognition they're going to get out of what's going to come out of this deal. When I'm talking to a supporter, I understand how to apply the relationship side of the transaction. When I talk to an analyst, I know how to deal with and structure and give them miles and reams of data and how to remove the uncertainty of the transaction so that the only way they can be wrong is not do the deal. Because I understand how they think. I understand what they value. And I know how to minimize that resistance and maximize their cooperation. And you can too. You just got to understand this model. You just got to be able to take its very simple, elementary pieces, plug them into your own experience level, which you've had sufficient experience in life up to now to fully understand this. And then practice using it. And eventually you get really good at it. And it's a key part of this negotiating the purchase because these folks are going to be putty in your hands. And you're going to direct different things to different players. because they all aren't going to be coming from the same place. Back to Jay.